Hey everybody. I'm gonna be doing a quick stream today, probably less than an hour, but just taking a look at some different stuff. Hey everybody. If you have, hey Eddie, how's it going? Good to see you. Probably less than an hour, but just taking a look at some different stuff. Sure enough. Sure enough, Bitcoin did continue moving up as we were talking about on the stream 2 days ago. And I'm still in that long position that I mentioned. I did add to it a little bit, so it's about 150% of my total account value that is open. Not an extremely large position by any means. Oh, I've got some echo here. Just turn it down the volume a little bit. All right. And got a little music in the background for you. Let me know if it's too loud or if you can't hear me at any point. Yeah, I mean, I'm still not seeing a lot of significant reasons to close my long right now. Let's see, in the Discord, just going to check out what some people are posting too. One guy says, who's been buying the top here? That was about an hour ago. Dave is convinced it's the Asians that are buying. Let's see. Frosty posted some long-term charts. Bigger picture. Looks like, what has he got on that? He's doing, he's got a BB band. Okay, so. If you're not in the Discord, of course, you can join. Let me know if you don't have a link, but I think most of you guys are also in the Discord that are here right now. Charts, BTC. So I'm just going to zoom back out like I was talking about before. Always like to check. Still those same levels. Yearly open down here and previous yearly open up here. And we are apparently ranging between those levels right now. That's a very long-term view, though, you know, not very useful. All right, just moving stuff around so I can see what's going on and check chats and all that jazz. If you do have a coin that you want me to check out, drop it in Twitter if you're on Twitter. If you're not, drop it in the chat in the YouTube stream, and I'll take a look at some stuff. I can also take a look at futures, stocks, things like that. I want to talk a little bit about something today too. I want to talk about options. Options are becoming a lot more popular, I've noticed, among people on crypto Twitter and a few different places. I mean, they've always been popular, but crypto seems to just be discovering them. That's what I'm trying to say. So here's the thing with options, and there's not a whole lot of people on the stream right now. And not a whole lot of subscribers to the stream yet, so it's unlikely people will go back and listen to this, so I'll probably bring it up again, but don't buy options. If you're trading, if you're investing, things like that, don't buy options. Options are a scam for the most part. And I realize, you know, there's plenty of people that will disagree with me on this. There's plenty of people on Twitter that have disagreed with me about this before. But professionals write options. They do not buy options unless they are expecting to be wrong about something and are trying to hedge an existing position. Professionals do not buy an option without already owning the underlying asset. And if they're buying an option, it's typically to hedge against their position, not anything else. The thing with options is in order to make money on an option, you have to be right about the direction of the underlying asset, the timing of that direction, and the size of the movement of the underlying asset as well. If you don't understand that, go back and listen to that. It's a very important concept. You have to be right about everything to make money buying an option, whether it's a call or a put. So keep that in mind. Options are a gamble. They're used to attract people who are newer to trading, who maybe don't understand as much about the game, things like that. They're like bait, essentially. They trap people. And they do it because, oh, you know, I only have $5,000, so with $5,000, I could buy all these options and I could control $500,000 worth of an asset or whatever it is that you're buying an option in. It's too good to be true. It sounds too good to be true. It is. Don't buy options. You can look into more of that. There's literature out there on it, but options are a hope business, and you can either buy hope or you can sell hope, and professionals sell it. Professionals sell. They write options. They do not buy them. And you know, you'll hear stories on Twitter and Instagram and everywhere. People love to brag and they love to tell about how they turned $10,000 into $80,000 or $5,000 into $1 million with options. If that story is true, which often it is not, I would say nearly all the time it is not. If that story is true, it is the result of gambling, not actually trading. If you make money in options, buying options, puts or calls, you are getting lucky, really nothing more. Trading is hard. It's hard enough without having to be right about every part of the trade. In order to make money on an option, you have to be right about every part of the trade. So it's just kind of an unreasonable thing to try and make money with. So I highly recommend staying away from options unless you are writing options yourself. If you have the account value required to write options, it is a highly lucrative business, and it's something I recommend you read a lot more about. But just be aware of that. There's lots of people on Twitter, I've noticed, especially in crypto now, that are starting to get into options, and they're, you know, shilling options, whether it's Deribit options or whatever. But just know, and I mean, BitMEX options, those are a huge scam if you've never tried them. I was kind of excited about them when they first came out, but they're just so illiquid, and it's not really an effective hedging mechanism, in my opinion. So I've been staying away from them as well. All right, so let's take a look at just Bitcoin again here. Like I was saying, we were talking in the stream 2 days ago how that weekly close did not look bearish at all. It looked very bullish, and that we were expecting continued momentum up. This is a low time frame chart, so I'm just going to turn that up. So 2 days ago, we were down here somewhere, I guess. Yeah, down here. And I mentioned opening a small long position. That is still open. I've basically just been using the 3-hour chart to move my stop up in profit as the market continues up, because it's gonna correct, you know, hard at some point. It's impossible to predict when that's gonna be necessarily. I don't see any significant bearish signals, really. You know, you'll see people arguing that, like, this is a bearish divergence on the RSI. Nobody uses this indicator besides me, so they're not going to argue on there. But you can see with the OBV, and actually it's got some, I got to get rid of some of these drawing tools that I have on there. So on the OBV, you can see volume has broken out with the price significantly from that consolidation pattern and is continuing to break up. So I really don't expect a pullback yet. Again, OBV is a leading indicator. Frosty says, why bother with options when you can 100x corn? Absolutely. I agree. While I do not encourage 100x trading by any means, it's way easier to make money trading with leverage than it is with options. Absolutely, and if you can't make money trading with leverage because of whatever reason, jurisdictions, things like that, either find a way around it or just learn to trade really, really well without leverage. And at the point that you're going to have access to it, no problem. Now you're already a decent trader and you're much more likely to succeed using leverage. But I haven't used it myself because it's not important for me, but I believe the main issue with the futures and stuff like that is the United States. I think they geo-block, or places geo-block the United States, IP block the United States, just because of their regulations and things like that. They're very difficult to deal with. So, you can find a way around that, or I believe, CME offers leverage for U.S. citizens, although I don't know what the account value is, or the required account value and stuff like that. So, but anyway, let's look at BTC from a non-leverage standpoint first, because this is important. This is what the majority of people really are doing. They're not using leverage, at least with the majority of their positions. So from a non-leverage standpoint, looking at it long term, this is what we were talking about in the last stream, how if you're just following like an MA or an EMA strategy or something like that, I mean, you would really do pretty well long term just putting your money in and out of the market. You would have put your money back into the market somewhere around here if you were doing that, and you'd still be in. Now, with these long-term views, things I'm going to look for are changes in the underlying market structure. So, for example, this was our last true higher low, the 74.51. And then, of course, on a closing basis, that weekly close at 76.35. If that level was penetrated, that would be a pretty big, stay out of the market until you have a clearer picture sort of signal. I'm a rather paranoid trader, I guess I would say overall. So, hey, Airborne Heel, what's up? Good to have you here, man. I'm what I would call a more paranoid trader, so I'm more likely to exit into cash at any signs of bearishness or things like that. Or if I'm using leverage to hedge my long positions, I'm more likely to open up, a hedge on my account and accept lots of small losses being stopped out of that more frequently just to protect the account value, because I'm a cash maximalist, I would say. Now, when Bitcoin is in a bullish trend, which from pretty much every point of view of market analysis, it is right now. I don't see how anyone could argue that it's still in a bearish trend. And from that point of view, I am going to try and stay in majority Bitcoin while it's in a bullish trend. Of course, trend signals are lagging by nature, so you're never going to hit the top. You're never really going to hit the bottom necessarily. Let me turn on, though, one of the trend tools that I have created here. Let's just get rid of this one. I'm going to do, let's see, where is it? I'll just go to where's mine? Is it this one? That's the weekly. All right. so let's go down here to the daily. I believe this is the correct script. Yeah, okay. So you can see with this one, it flips on the daily, but it does get you out of a position when the position turns against you pretty well. And this did call the very bottom of the market. I posted that publicly in Discord and on Twitter when I was putting in about 50% of my money at that point. So that was a great little moment. You know, it flipped back and forth a little bit here, but still closing me out in profit in the position overall. So it's something I like to use just kind of as a trend gauge. You know, it came back up here, broke out, broke above that point. And of course, as I posted, I had shorted up here and then closed out at about 81.50-ish area, somewhere right in here. And that was based on OBV and just the breakout in price. So my current long position is, well, just the leverage long position. My actual money is in the market from much lower, but my current long position is still open. Average price 91.56 at the moment. And it just has a value a little bit larger than my total account value. It's not a huge position at the moment. Just something nice for collecting some profit on the way up. And it will stop out in profit right now if we break below 96.50 area again. I do have some other leverage positions, a small ETH position right now. It is underwater. A small TRX position, it is underwater. And an XRP position, also slightly underwater. So those positions are on cross leverage though and are small, so they can take some movement like this. The TRX one is the only one that's kind of a concern for me at the moment because it is on the June contract, which will be expiring in 7 days. So I may have to accept a loss on that one. If that's the case, I'm going to look for a new entry though based on the chart and reopen it on the new contract. But I just haven't opened a second position on the contract, on the new contract, even though there is a new one, because I'm just looking for TRX to potentially bounce first. I don't have really good signals that it's going to at the moment though, so it is something I'm just kind of keeping an eye on. I'll pull that chart up just so we can take a look at it here. Yeah, it looks pretty ugly overall here, and it does look like it's going back to test that bottom potentially there. You know, this would be the place where I would expect it to bounce if it's not going to retest the bottom. So if it doesn't bounce here, then I think we're gonna find it go down here back to that 300 level. And that's just based on an eyeball there. All right, so let's go back to this. Bitcoin chart broke out, as we were talking about, has continued its move upward. Some people will call this little spike here a bearish divergence. It is not a bearish divergence. This was a bearish divergence right here, and it played out, and the market has come back up. And now you see the RSI is breaking back above that traditional level that people watch at 70 there. So, you know, you could expect some consolidation and stuff, but no bearish signals really on that. No bearish signals on the OBV. No real bearish signals on the MACD either at the moment. The thing that I would be watching for, especially on this daily level, is if we get a new high on multiples of these indicators from, let's see, this point here is really the point where you would be measuring it from now. You could still use this, technically, it's an extended divergence, but I would want to see that divergence in line with this, and it is not in line with that. So I would really probably measure a new divergence from that point on the RSI, which it looks like it's about to invalidate. But anyway, I pay a little bit more attention to divergences when they're obvious, and it's not very obvious right now. But still, it would be worth watching if we do have a daily price candle that closes, here or up here or wherever it's going to close with divergence develop, that's something to watch out for. But currently on the daily, no real signals that say it's going to come back and retrace or anything like that. So I'm not too concerned about that right now. I think that we're still just in, buy all the dips kind of mode here. That has been bad for altcoins, and a lot of people are hoping that turns around, but it doesn't necessarily have to. And I don't see a lot of strong bottom signals on altcoins at the moment. Doesn't mean they can't bottom, but we were talking about Nano on the stream last time, so let me just pull that up as an example for you here. There you go. we were talking about it on this day, 2 days ago, and we were saying this could be the bottom, sure, but there's no signal that says it is. Look at that bounce. Like, that's a huge bounce right there. That could have convinced a lot of people. I mean, that's an 11% bounce. Someone could have even profited off of it if they were, a disciplined trader. But most people are buying that and looking for a 10x or something. They're looking for it to come back up here. And instead now you've got this sharp sell-off just pushing down below the all-time closing lows on multiple time frames. So as a reminder on this coin, weekly closing low was here. We just got a lower weekly close right there. Now 3-day was the purple in this one, and we just got a lower 3-day close. So we've had the lowest closes ever on Nano so far now, on all time frames except the daily, but it does look like the daily closed lower. Okay, so yeah, so it's basically had lower closes on all time frames, large candle down. I expect Nano to continue going down. It does not look very good at the moment. However, there is some divergence developing here, definitely bullish divergence. Here's the thing with bullish divergence, though, especially on the MACD. What you're waiting for is a candle that is colored differently here. You're looking for this light red candle to develop. Every day that you're getting a lower expanding MACD candle, that's still a bearish day. And you're just catching nods. You're just buying into a downtrend. So if you want to buy for a larger reversal on something like a MACD divergence, you want to wait for this first white candle. And in this case, it wasn't actually a divergence, so you would have waited there and then just been stopped out as it continued to drop down in that case. But that's why you want to wait for a true divergence. This is going to be a true divergence. This is not a true divergence here. So just as an example, if you're not familiar with the MACD and how to trade it, that is one way that a lot of people trade that. Self-fulfilling prophecy, All right. So yeah, like I said, don't see any high time frame bearish signs really on Bitcoin at the moment. Let's just take a look at the 3-day, and you know what? I will pull up for you. Let's put both of these on the 3-day here. I'm gonna pull up something for you just so we can check it out here. Let's turn one of Nick's things on here. All right, we've got that on that, so I'll just turn it on here. Indicators, we've got the alpha exhaustion here. So this is one of Crypto Core's indicators. If you don't have it, he does sell it. I like using it for analysis myself just because it's very visual, and so it makes things easy. And I know that the whole market doesn't have this indicator yet, and it's based on his ideas about how the market functions. You can see the last exhaustion call that we got here was just like that. And yeah, this one down here on the 3-day did not pan out technically, but that's okay. Nothing is ever going to work every time. And we did get a nice little sell-off there. I do have a strategy for using this indicator to profit in these situations as well, but I'm not going to necessarily divulge it quite yet to you. All right. So with this one, for example, we got that, and then we got the candle, boom, that breached the previous day right there. It came back up, of course, and it broke back above that previous level where that call had been made. I don't have the actual, I don't have the trend end and aggressive trend end on right now, but we could do that if we wanted. Turn that on. Yeah. So on the 3-day, you can see it doesn't make a lot of calls very often there. It's just going to be that exhaustion. Now we have no exhaustion though at the moment. It had the exhaustion and it started a new trend right there. So since it's broken above on his indicator, that's just agreeing with what I'm saying right now based on my own analysis. So this indicator is confirming my own analysis. We could see a similar move like this to what we did before even. All right, now let's go to the daily here just to check this out. We are above an envelope that I use for price targets on the daily currently, which means I'm just not really interested in buying. I'd be interested in buying if we came back down to that EMA level, and that's a 13 EMA that I watch just for market structure personally. On a short-term time frame, Bitcoin looks like it's trying to convince us that it's coming down. Like I said, though, my position will stop out just based on a previous low on the 3-hour market structure. All right, let's see. Oh, good. Oh, you're driving and listening to this, everyone. Nice. Yeah, Mr. Thakis, you're welcome. Oh, fist away from your mouth. What does that mean? Is it too quiet or too loud? Yo, put the mic fist away from your mouth. Let me know if it's too loud, too quiet, guys. All right, so let's see. What are we on here? We're on the daily now. I'm just going to check the Discord, see what's up. A couple of you guys in there. And yeah, I'll look at Discord too, so if you have stuff. Ruby. What Nick posted. I don't think you meant to post that there. Ruby. All right, let's see here. So on the daily, it is showing more exhaustion than it is on the 3-day. And what that means, of course, is we could just see some consolidation up here, or maybe even like I was talking about on the previous stream, consolidation that brings us back to test that weekly open down here at 8760 area. And that's concurrent, of course, with that previous area, which is the daily resistance where we broke through from the bearish divergence that we talked about at that point. So I'm not super interested in shorting anything here at the moment. You know, it's shorting into a pretty strong bullish trend. I was all hot to short over here, and I did, and collected a little bit of profit off of it. It was not as good of a short as I was hoping it was going to be, but it was still significant profit, so I'll take it, and that's what trading is about. Like, I was right, but not right about the magnitude of the movement. I still made some profit, not as much as I was hoping for, but I was willing to be wrong. I was willing to turn around when the market turned around. And that's something that's just so important in trading, because it's so easy, especially if you're right a bunch of times in a row about some trades. It's easy to get into your head that you're going to be right all the time, that, you're smarter than the market or whatever. There's so many traps for your mind. Your mind is a trading tool in itself, and yet it does work against you often. You have to learn, I wouldn't say to master it, but learn how it works so that you can be more realistic with yourself, and you can see when you're acting against your own best interest. I think the idea of mastering or controlling the mind is also a faulty idea, because again, it's an ego-based idea. It's an idea that you are better than your mind, better than the market, better than and that's just kind of a trap in thought. You see people on Twitter, they trade very emotionally, they post things very emotionally, a lot of these like scam paid group people. That's basically how they operate. All right, Dave is loving this rally. Yeah, it's nice. I mean, that's the great thing about the market going up is most people are making money as long as you're not over leveraged shorting. Most people make money in a bull run. It's a beautiful thing. And the nice thing about this rally is, even if you're holding alts, if you're measuring it in BTC value, yes, your BTC value is going down significantly. If you're measuring it in USD value, though, the USD value of most alts is going up or remaining the same. So you're not necessarily losing money. You could be losing Bitcoin, and losing the opportunity cost of having more money via Bitcoin. But it's something to consider, not to beat yourself up over too much. And of course, always remember that no matter what you're trading, no matter what you're doing, you can always exit into cash. And when you're in cash, you're not losing any money. You're just maybe losing opportunity cost. All right. So, but like I said, Bitcoin is obviously in a bull market right now. At the very least, short and medium term it is, possibly even longer term now. We will have to see. We'll see. If it is, then it's probably a multi-year thing. There's no rush necessarily. There's going to be plenty of opportunities if the market truly has bottomed and turned around, which, I mean, it really looks like it has. We'll have plenty of opportunity. That being said, we still have a chance to see the low 6,000s again without invalidating that. Because again, like with these, for example, EMAs move with the current candles. And so if these candles do start to retrace at some point, these are going to flatten out a little bit before continuing up. And that happened. Oh yeah, I don't have the other chart. I can show you again on a Bitstamp chart how that's happened in the past. Or you can pull up a Bitfinex chart or whatever and just put some MAs or EMAs on and see how it works. Again, that's just for bias. Those are just there for bias. That's all. They're not entry signals or anything else. I use multiple things and I've just got a few of them up on the chart for you right now, just so you can get an idea of a couple things I'm looking at. But let's just get rid of all the signals and just look at the price. Okay, so we had this breakout from this level, and the white line is the monthly open, the orange line is the weekly, and then of course you can see that daily close resistance area. This would be the last kind of daily low, I would say, which would be 89.42. So we could come back, we could take out stops below that level, retest this area, this weekly and monthly open area here, and the daily resistance area, before continuing to move up. I see that as a highly likely scenario, because this is not just going to continue in a straight line forever. We're going to get some retrace, although as you can see, it can continue straight up for quite a while. But it does look like we kind of broke out of this consolidation. There was a false break there. This is really kind of the range between these levels. I would say that there was a major range between 82, 82-ish and 76. And we broke out of that, first a false breakout back into the range, and then a true breakout. So that would have been enough to stop a lot of people out, that movement like that, longer term. Again, if you are trading just on spot, not on leverage, you want to be paying to longer term signals. You don't want to be paying a lot of time to anything less than a daily chart if you're trading just spot. Yes, of course, you can trade on a 4-hour or a 3-hour or 6-hour or a 1 hour or whatever. But when you're trading with spot, you really should be looking to capitalize on larger trend-based moves, and you should not be looking at the chart all the time, every day. Altcoins might be the exception to that because they move in a way that is similar to leveraged trading. They just have such high volatility that you can get similar gains from altcoins that you can get from leveraged trading. I prefer leveraged trading myself just because I understand it better and I feel it has more control. There's more liquidity there, things like that. That's a personal preference. If you have a large account, altcoins are actually pretty dangerous if you are doing, unless you're making a market. But if you have a larger account, it is generally better to use leverage overall. This helps protect you from many, many different things, including the inability to exit something if your position becomes too large, which can happen in altcoins. All right. Oh, shit. I made coffee and never drank it. What are we going to do here? So now we've got the weekly and daily back up. From a spot position, I would not be looking to exit right now at all. I would just be looking to buy a dip. A dip into this area from a price action standpoint could be really nice. A dip into the value zone here, which is concurrent right now with the weekly and monthly zones. This would be a great buying area. If we break back into this range, I would, based on the current structure, I really would not want to be in long positions below that monthly zone. So, I would be watching that zone personally, and I will be watching it with my spot position. Other than that, with my spot position, I generally look for signals, long-term signals on the daily, like divergence, and I did exit quite a bit of spot on this divergence here and bought back down here. With the spot position, I'm generally willing to accept smaller moves like that. I'm looking for the larger moves, sometimes using leverage, but not always. It depends on what's going on. Hey, Edward, nice to see you here. Yeah, we got a handful of the Masons up in here, hanging out. Got a little stream going. For those of you who were here the other day, I'm just going to pull it up one more time. This is Nano that we were talking about. We were talking about it here, and as we thought, it just kind of continued down. Doesn't seem to be any bottom for Nano at the moment, so I would really be waiting for this daily divergence to play out before I would try and buy that coin, if I was even going to. I have no plans currently to buy Nano. And if you guys pop some stuff in, if you post things that you want me to take a look at, and if I am going to actually buy it, I will let you know. I personally have no plans to buy Nano, although I did notice that Not So Fast posted about Nano on Twitter yesterday, and is bullish on it long term himself. I did not read the full post that he had, but he does have some reasoning there, so you can check out his post if you want. Also, I posted in the curated news area, Strong Writer. He did a review of the new paid group run by the Ask Me How person or people who supposedly turned $100 into $160,000 on BitMEX. I have previously posted my doubt of that situation. And it looks like, based on Strongwriter's review of his group, that it is a shitty scam group that is just there to steal your money. So, as always, be careful out there. Those groups are almost always scams. It's one of the reasons that we started Bitcoin Masons in the beginning. We wanted a decent, higher quality group that was free to people who are coming into the space so they can learn, real information without spending a whole bunch of money and just getting disillusioned on crypto. I mean, that's the thing. If you guys are here and you guys are a part of this, it's actually, we want new people in. We want more people interested in this market. We want more people buying this market. We need people buying altcoins and stuff. That's not just all of us, obviously, to help bottom these coins out. So we want to encourage people to get in, and they see these paid groups first, and they throw money at it, and then they get terrible calls or no calls at all, or an exit scam or whatever it is. They lose a bunch of money really fast, and then they're just like, oh, okay, well, this whole market is a scam. That we don't want that. So if you're out there, if you're on Twitter and stuff, make sure, like, call these people out on their shit. Help us out. We appreciate that. We try to investigate it. We don't blame somebody for, if they're running a group and it's actually a good one. Like, we do try to investigate it first. But when I see stuff that sounds too good to be true, I'm always very skeptical. Bear market especially, Edward. Yeah, there's a lot of, and that's the thing, is a lot of those people lost money. I mean, the Wolf of Poloniex dude is a perfect example of that. All right. So we took a look at Bitcoin there. I'll look at some of the stuff now that I'm looking at. And like I said, if you guys have anything specific, stocks, futures, or crypto that you want me to take a look at from my perspective, I'd be happy to do that. My perspective is not the only one, and obviously there's lots and lots of ways to trade any market. I trade mostly using divergences, some price action concepts, some trend concepts, and higher time frames for a lot of things, except for leverage trading. Leverage trading, I'm using lower time frames, and typically a 3-hour and 30-minute. Those are some of my favorites. But I also will use the 5-minute charts for certain things too. ETH, sure, yeah, I could take a look at ETH. Let me take a look at XRP real quick, because this is always a popular one. I'm going to pull up the USD chart first. I have a little line there. There's a hope line for you. So, XRP, USD. All right. Now, the reason I want to do this is because the USD chart on XRP is consolidating right now in what looks like a classical charting pattern. You could call this a symmetrical triangle maybe, or an ascending triangle, kind of. But the bottom line is it does seem to be in a consolidation pattern, with the EMAs flipping bullish on a weekly time frame. And again, that doesn't happen very often, so it's something that's worth paying attention to. I certainly would not be shorting XRP at these levels. That seems like a death wish to me. But XRP does have a tendency to create these consolidation patterns that look bullish and then drop down. And that happened back here, as you can see. But of course, at that time, we were also over here, and the EMAs on the weekly were still bearish. They are no longer, and that could be a significant difference in market structure that's going to push XRP up soon. Like I said, my position on XRP is open on the new contract. I don't own any spot XRP. It is purely a futures position. It's one of those things I don't necessarily like to hold on to, because I prefer overall to have a majority of my money in Bitcoin when Bitcoin is in a bull market, and just trade in and out of the altcoins. Trading on with futures contracts where I have Bitcoin as my basis makes that much easier. And I prefer the stop losses available on the futures platform at BitMEX and Bybit and stuff like that to the ones available on most altcoin exchanges. Stops are really, really important, and it should be a major consideration for what exchange you use. I haven't tried out the new Biaxi yet, which Josh, of course, was championing for a while. So I do want to check that out, though. I did sign up and get some free BXY coins, just not very many of them. But if you're not on that exchange and you want to join, let me know. Actually, I might just post a reference link in here. Okay, So XRP weekly's looking fine. The price action really needs to break out above that 44.5 cent level on the USD chart. Again, I do chart things in USD because USD is my primary concern. That's the main thing I'm paying attention to for my account. I'm just going to hold more BTC and be less likely to cash out when Bitcoin is in a bull market. All right. So I do like what I'm seeing. This does look like a bullish consolidation overall on XRP. We had a lower low there, but now we've had some higher lows. No higher high though yet. We had a nice breakdown at that point there. So we could see price come back and retest that 38-cent level before it breaks out. That does look like a possibility still. But it would be pretty easy right now, just as an example from a trading standpoint, if I wasn't already in a position and I like what I'm seeing here for a possible breakout, this would technically be buying resistance. But you can have a 5% stop there essentially, which wouldn't be so bad. Because if it does break down below that previous level, there's a much higher chance that it's going to go lower and that you'll get a better entry. Obviously with a 5% stop loss on the USD pair, you would not be able to have a position that was too large in order to follow proper risk management rules. Okay, but let's now look. So yeah, USD looks bullish. That's the bottom line. I'm not seeing any significant reasons to be too bearish on it on the USD chart, at least longer term. Let's look at it real quick on the BTC charts here. So Bittrex does have a longer chart history, as does Bitfinex, than Binance. So it's kind of up to you. I like having the longer chart histories myself, so I will look at it on Bitfinex. All right. Oh wait, that was I clicked on them? Yes, it was. Okay. So let's look at it here. Now, I had posted before, actually on TradingView back here when these were just about to turn with price underneath that XRP was about to die. Posted it in the Discord as well, and it did. It died. It went way down. It got all the way to the bottom here, which was lower than I thought, and it actually had a false downside breakout on the weekly. Now, that's a pretty bullish thing to me. It is trying really hard to convince me that that was not real. And it did this once before as well, as you can see over here. It had this strong bullish candle and then retraced all the way, dipped just below before just skyrocketing up. So I'm currently trading my position on the September contract in a way that allows me to accept that volatility that could go all the way down to that level. You know, so it's a smaller position overall at the moment, with the possibility to add if I get good signals to do so. Don't have a really good add signal at the moment by any means. Now, and from a shorter term trading standpoint, the way to trade this, if you were going to buy here, it would be to stop out at that low, or maybe even at this previous low right here, and take profit at the EMAs. That's a pretty standard long-term simple trading strategy, and often simple is better. You know, the majority of us are just not going to outperform simple strategies. Doesn't matter how smart you are, it's not what it's about. If you've been trading long enough, you know this. If you're newer, you probably think that what I just said is bullshit. Stick around, you'll definitely understand eventually. Just don't lose all your money. Now, See, this is what I'm talking about from like no real good adding signals. Based on the things I look at, it looks like short term XRP has entered a downtrend, a little bearish trend here, and I see some possible divergence, developing, but it's not actually there at the moment. So it's not worth trading. And in order for that to develop, we would have to have a daily close below this level, which again would be potentially an issue and signal that it was going to continue lower than this previous low at 43.6. So want to be careful with that. I mean, this would have been the level where a lot of stops were, this 46,200 basically at the low of that daily candle, or the equivalent on whatever exchange you were trading. And as you can see, it came down, took out all those stops, went up. We were talking about this on the stream the other day, but it has now come back down and gone even lower than that, which just doesn't show much strength. So not great. Not looking to add to my position, just looking to hold it at the moment. And, keep an eye in case the bearish trend here that is potentially developing increases. And again, this is a point where XRP is still below the value area in a bearish trend long term. So chances are it will come up to this level and back down before continuing up. It could just do this again. XRP has a tendency to do these crazy huge just jumps, so you never know with it, and that's why I'm willing to accept a little more volatility on it in order to have a position in case this is the bottom. A lot of people on Twitter were getting into it, and I do feel that's part of why it has continued down right now, though, is to try and stop out a majority of those who are going to be over leveraged into XRP. And once those people get stopped out, we have a better chance of reversing. So kind of waiting for that to happen. Like I said, I do have a position in XRP right now. It is from 47.86 on the September contract, so it's underwater, but not a whole lot at the moment. And it is a smaller position overall. It's not a full-size position, I would say, for my own risk management. All right. Now, I had a request for ETH. Let's look at it versus USD first. I like looking at the BitMEX contract, but we just want a little bit more information. So let's look at the Coinbase chart on this one. Nice. Does look like it's breaking out. What we got here? Okay. So weekly, I forget which exchange has the longest ETH chart. If you know, feel free to post it. I'm just going to check Discord here real quick. Stop selling your all too savages, Conquiipi says. Nice scoot on vacation. Apparently people are blaming, are saying that Josh is a vacation LARPer. Josh McGruff, because he's posted some vacation pictures on Twitter recently. Man, people are savage out there. Oh, man. All right, let's see. What a chart. Now, I have heard some statistical comparisons that people have made. If ETH had recovered as much as Bitcoin, it would be back at $1,000. Let me just test that from a percentage standpoint real quick. So ETH has recovered 246% from the bottom, and Bitcoin has recovered actually less. So that is not a realistic comparison. Percentage-wise, they're actually fairly similar, and ETH has even recovered more from the bottom. So I assume they're basing that just on like price action or market structure and saying it's back above this level where ETH is not, but ETH's market structure is very, very different from Bitcoin's as well. So I think that's really just Josh living it up. Oh yeah, we've got some cross military group love. I like it. Yeah, everybody's on the same team. We can still give each other a hard time, right? That's the way it works. Now, of course, if you're not in the U.S., then I'm not sure if the U.S. military is on your side so much. But I guess depends on where you are. So. All right, so we've got that, and okay. I mean, I guess you could. I don't even know what this looks like. It just. I mean, yeah, sure. It looks like, what did we have? Sort of some divergence there, maybe a bottom. And then it's just rocketing up. I mean, 246% from the bottom. That's damn. I think Litecoin is way more too. From its bottom, it was. Let's see here, LTC. Let's see what we got. Yeah, you can tell just by looking at it. It's way more. It's insane how much it's up right now. 500%. That's intense. 550%. Let's see how my buddy's doing. This one is on Coinbase. It's still new, so let's pull it up on a different exchange here. Okay, yeah. I mean, this one has lagged behind the market pretty significantly. Only up about 200% total, the highest, and right now only about 160. Now, one of the reasons I'm trading it is I do think that it's lagging behind and it's going to catch up. So, if we saw this have that same recovery, even as BTC is the lowest recovery right now, 20% it was? I mean, I guess we've kind of seen that, but that's still at $10 for ETC. If we have an ETH-like, that's going to be 250-ish. That's at $11, which is a target I've mentioned before. But if we see an LTC, then, now we're looking at back to $18 up here, something like that. So I do think it's lagging behind. I'm trading it on and off. I've been trading these swings. If you're in the Discord, I've posted about those. That's one of kind of my major swing positions at the moment that I'm trading back and forth in and out of. All right, but let's stick to ETH here because it was requested. ETH USD. I will take a look at ETH BTC real quick and see what that's doing as well. All right. Oh, I got distracted. What am I doing here? Okay, so market structure-wise, EMAs are showing bullish trend. Price action is also showing bullish trend. Super easy to find, like here, bullish trend. It's the bullish trend on price action I've talked about before, but on a weekly chart, it's very simple. This was the low. Once the low is in, boom, that's your low. That's your major low. Now you've got a new major low right there. And you're measuring these lows on a closing basis because you want to find the wick point from the week as well as the closing basis for the week. Because sometimes you'll see it wick into an area but then close above. So that's your new major weekly low, and then you've got a major weekly low there. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. It wicks down below but then returns and closes above. So that's where, you just want to be careful. Like, sure, you could have quick exited at that point and then just re-entered there when it's back above, or even at the closing basis up here kind of a thing if you were on spot. And I measure it from major down candles, which are red weeklies. So that would have been the new low. This is the new low. And now we've got a new low way up here, similar to Bitcoin. So that's your new weekly low, your major point that it needs to stay above for price action to continue to be in a bullish trend. On the other side, the highs need to continue to break. So that's what we saw here. We saw, a high break, a high break, a high break. And I like to do the breaks on a closing basis more so. So like that one would have been a strong buy signal. Same here, that one would have been a strong buy signal. Just because, as you can see, same thing, it does wick above sometimes. So you can get trapped into a position if you're not careful. Same thing here. Okay, so we've got a break above. We've got more consolidation, of course, there. Now, this one closed, and again, wicks above right there. So with this, on the closing basis, it did go above, but not on the actual wick itself. So this is where you're starting to go, okay, we're reaching a little bit of resistance at this level. You're going to raise your stops, stop out of your position probably on this candle at some point, and re-enter at some point when you see a good re-entry. That's just a simplified version. That's not the actual explanation of that strategy or how to trade. I'm just talking about bias right now and the way to use bias from a price action standpoint on weekly candles. So your highest daily close is right there. And that's where you put your resistance. And as you can see, even though it played with it a little bit, that week was a strong down week. So now we have that resistance as well as a new higher low and higher high. Now come up, we wick out, but we close below, and then boom, we've gone way, way above that now. So this one will close above that level, I assume, and give us another strong weekly buy signal long term. So I do believe we should continue to see ETH go up on a weekly basis. And if we come down here and we look at the daily chart, it does look like we are breaking out of this consolidation area right now. So we could consolidate around here. We could even test here. That breakout point is that weekly level. And nice, we have a nice daily low at the same point as the weekly low. So that's an important area to watch for continued bullish movement. If price goes below that, there's a really high chance it's going to go lower from that point, from that 226, 227 area. The value zone where you really want to see it stay in or above on the daily EMAs is right there with a low around 255 right now. So it did, as you can see, go down even below that and then wick back up, and that can happen. That would have stopped a lot of people out on that move. And don't really see, well, I guess there's some VPR reason to re-enter, but you'd pretty much want to re-enter just once it was back inside the value area. That's a safer entry overall from that strategy point of view. Yeah, same with similar kind of action to BTC right now. I'm going to take a break. I'll be back in just a couple minutes, and let me know if there's anything else you want me to take a look at. I will talk a little bit more about ETH real quick and just look at the BTC chart because that's the one that I am personally trading right now because I prefer to hold BTC over ETH. Okay. Let's see. All right. Well, thanks for joining me, guys. Those of you that are able to. Okay. So, looking at ETH. Okay, so let's look at previous areas that were important here. So, obviously this area was a very important level for ETH in the past, and it just blew right through it. So, you know, you've got some significant resistance, I would assume, in that area between 351 and 379. You know, it really needs to blow through that and get above it for continued bullish momentum once it reaches that level. We are in, from a weekly standpoint right now, we are in a price action resistance area. So people that trade based on these concepts should really be looking for shorts right now in that weekly block. I guess there is potentially a narrative for a short, but it's just not a very strong, obvious one right now. So, and what would be, yeah, I guess it would be like right in here. So, let's see if we've already breached that though. No, yeah, we're still in that. So, yeah, from like here to, I mean, so there might be a narrative for that. I just, from a longer term standpoint, it just looks very strongly bullish. So you would be trading against the trend by shorting based on that idea. Just know that we are in one of those areas where a lot of PA traders will typically look for shorts because they don't necessarily base their trading on the trend at all if they're doing purely price action concepts. Other than what we talked about with the higher highs, higher lows, things like that. So from a weekly standpoint, they shouldn't be necessarily looking for those short setups. All right, so I'm distracted because I'm looking at this area. This would be the area I would expect to see some interesting action, and for the bullish case, it breaks above. Maybe we see it come up to 400, comes back down, and then goes up. So just as an example, draw one of these fun little lines. What I'm talking about is something like this. And of course, it's never so clean, but that just gives you the idea of a potential bullish scenario. Oh, I hate how I can't move it then after doing that. All right. So that is weekly levels. Let's look at the daily here. And the 3-day. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I'll look at the 1-day and the 3-day. So I currently have no position in ETH USD. I do have an ETH BTC position though. We'll talk about that in just a second. It looks like ETH might be trying to catch up with BTC a little bit finally. It has been lagging behind quite significantly. So, although overall, as I said earlier, ETH is up percentage-wise over BTC from the bottom, and possibly year-to-date. I'd have to look into that, though. So the 3-day chart here. Okay. I want to get rid of that. Okay. I just like the volume MA instead of the candles. So we do have some rising volume overall on that 3-day. Okay. And let's see here. So obviously we appear to be breaking out of this level. You can see the wicks and rejections in the past, and those followed BTC's movement. ETH does tend to follow BTC overall, which is why BTC is still the most important asset to understand in the space. However, it sometimes becomes uncorrelated, and when it does follow BTC, it almost always is more volatile. The past couple days on BTC have been an exception to that, certainly. You know, now, if I was long, I would be targeting like 360 currently, just based on the envelope. You know, I like to set targets based on that and or previous market levels. Right now, those two things are aligning just based on what I said before about that weekly level. So that would be my target, would be about 360 if I was trading that. I am not currently trading the ETH USD pair. I don't have an entry on it, and the only entry I could see right now would be this breakup, and I would... It would have to be a very small position because I would want to have my stop at least below that or at that level, ideally there. So it would have to be a very small position, and that's just not that interesting to me. I think that there's better opportunities other places, you know. And of course, you know, I could be wrong. That can be the biggest opportunity. It just looks like it's kind of already on its way to me. I want to look at this. Alright, so we've got a nice little trend with a false downside breakout on the OBV, and that was just that. Actually, no, it was this. Oh, that's interesting. So this had, oh, that, yeah, that was that OBV divergence, okay, that I mentioned earlier. Alright, so let's see here. Yeah, I mean, it looks good overall. It's just bottom line. It's, you know, hard to say how fast it's going to move, but it looks bullish on the weekly, the 3-day, and the daily. So if you are in a spot ETH position, you look pretty safe at the moment. Some potential for divergence to develop, but it is still developing, so it could invalidate. It is not confirmed divergence by any means yet, so not worth selling. I would be holding ETH if I was in a position in it at the moment, and probably looking to stop out. Yeah, I would, the 261 level looks like a decent level for stops. However, it is in the daily value zone right now, which means price could return there, hit those stops, and continue up. It would not be abnormal for price to do that. Does look like BTC is trying to break up again. It's still below its high though. So, and the breakup is currently happening on much lower volume than the high candle on a 3-hour. I'm just looking at that on another screen. So, move this down just so you can see what I'm talking about here. Alright, let's take a look at the OBV. Yeah, OBV looks pretty good. Okay, so yeah, it does look like it's trying to go up again, so we'll see what happens there. Let's look at ETH BTC real quick. This one you can kind of take your pick. The longer trade chart history is better in my opinion. I think Bittrex has the longest, if I'm not mistaken. But there's definitely more volume in some of the others, so just depends on what you're after. Oh, geez, that's crazy wick. Okay. Let's see, what do we have going on here? I previously have posted. Oh, there, yeah, see, BTC's getting, looks like getting a rejection right now. So I have previously posted about this, and one of my kind of ideas that I wanted to trade was this, what seemed like a fairly obvious center of this consolidation. We have dropped below that now, and this would have been kind of the lower of that range. We came back up and retested it and are still below it. I don't love that. I don't love this chart right now. However, I do like what I'm seeing on this indicator. I like these lower lows. I like these higher highs. It means that there's more volume and momentum coming into the market on the upside than the downside currently. That's what that's telling me with these various highs and these spikes. So this jump up here, this had a lot of volume and momentum. So this fall back, not as concerning to me right now. This movement, for example, this was a 42% movement over 6 days, 1 week on the ETH BTC pair. That's significant. And we're seeing right now, price has fallen back a little more than 50%, which is not great. Again, we'd like to see that less, but doesn't necessarily invalidate that as a low. So what I'm seeing here is just indicators are concurrent with price action. So indicators are supporting this higher low. We really need to see a higher high soon, or else, this could just consolidate and then drop, because it does look like a big old consolidation pattern right now. Yeah. So that's what I'm seeing. OBV kind of came down, tested, same thing. Yeah, so that's on a 3-day. Let's look at it here. And I think I'm looking on Coinbase, right? Yeah, okay. So let's look at it on the daily. What have we got here? So again, like I've said before with altcoins, I prefer to look at altcoins only on higher time frames unless I'm doing some sort of scalp leverage position. These are tradable on smaller time frames. They're just so volatile that I prefer only to trade on high time frames for them. So this daily close, I think, is going to be fairly important. It's the first day where price will potentially close above the previous day since, way back here. What was that? The 12th or the 13th. So that would be a significant bullish reversal candle if it can close above this 2907 level. Just from purely looking at candlesticks. Indicator-wise, I don't really see a lot other than the fact that the force has gotten back above the 0 level. So this is a significant volume and momentum candle currently, and you can see that there is quite a bit of volume on this candle. It does look like a significant reversal candle to me. So I might even be tempted to add to my position on the close of that candle. It is still below the daily EMAs, which is not great, but as you can see, we do get these reversal candles up to the daily EMA before a true reversal. However, you can see that there's also false ones that do this, and that's why I say we really want to see this close later, because this could close down here, and then it confirms that it was just a trap, a bull trap candle, and it's going to stop all of these people out. So worth waiting. I'm already in a position, so I'm not in a rush to enter, and my position is currently above the price. So my position is underwater on that one at the moment. Yeah, so those weekly levels, or 3-day levels actually, that we're looking at, that's why it looks a little different. Okay, so those weekly levels, well, the 3-day and the weekly levels are actually the same, it looks like. This 3-day candle also looks significant. If this 3-day candle closes up here somewhere, that would be a really telling false downside candle. One of the things I look for more than anything else is a false downside breakout candle, especially on the daily or weekly, with divergence. If I see those two things, that's a huge entry signal for me. I do not see those things right now, though. And on the weekly, I really don't love this kind of dropping. Yeah, it's just consolidation. Yeah. All right. Let's see, what else is there here? Yeah, I mean, OBV is obviously in a downtrend. Really want to see that downtrend break. I do like that we're not hitting new lows, though. So that's good. That's just confirming that this low might actually be a new higher low. If the OBV breaks to a new lower low, then it just means that this is probably a false low and it's going to continue down more to me. Again, OBV is a leading indicator, so there's a couple other leading indicators as well. All right. Yeah, I don't see any like super strong signals at the moment. Like I said, this just seems like a possible new higher low to me. So I would maybe want to have a stop at this low on the other side there, or even at this low once this candle confirms that it's not going to just wick down and stop people out. The one thing that I do like is that on the daily it's a blue candle. I'm not super happy though that it's a bearish candle on the weekly chart and on the 3-day. And that's just one of my systems that I use to stop me from over trading, like I said in the previous stream. I did not make it. It's something that I took from someone who's been trading for a very, very long time. Okay. Cool. Pretty good. Oh, let's see. Revo asked in the Discord, when you look at alt Bitcoin charts and you see alts constantly making new lows or can't get above resistance for a long time, well, it means BTC outperforming alts. It means also another thing, that BTC is heavily accumulated through alts. They also pump to redump to support or new lows, which means continuous accumulation for Bitcoin, and they don't want to give up their Bitcoin for now. Of course, crypto shills tell you not to look at BTC and look at USD charts to fool you to lose money. You have to play as market makers are playing. All right, I mean, I think you're kind of assuming that you know certain things, and some of that might be true, but I'm not willing to say that that's exactly what's happening per se. I prefer to trade USD charts overall generally because that's my primary underlying asset. But I agree with you that, you know, just looking at the USD charts is a problem because you're just losing BTC. It's better to be in USD or trading BTC when it's in a bull market. Yeah, in and out game for sure. Yeah, there are dangers in trading. Just somebody in the Discord got stuck in an ADA position, it sounds like. All right, cool. Well, I feel good about that. Might do some live trading streams in the future. Still working on the risk management keynote right now, and I'll make a video out of that as soon as that's finished. I'll be around, might be in Discord and stuff, but I'm going to cut the stream off for now. Might be doing some streams with Nick here in the near future, and Josh, and maybe some other Twitter people. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, and I will see you again next time. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already, so you'll be notified when I start streaming. Going to be doing these very often, and going to be doing some live trading, some day trading in some of them, so you can kind of see how my strategy plays out in real time on a low time frame. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Edward. Thanks for being here. And this video will be up, be available in the Discord / on the YouTube channel. I record all of these, so they post to YouTube afterwards.